Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. And, a lot of people think that the NXIVM saga, for the most part, is pretty much over. We've now had the trial of Keith Raniere. He did not put up a defense. He did not call a witness. He simply had his lawyer give a closing argument. We know that Bronfman, the Salzmans, Mack, and others have pled guilty, and Bronfman herself has cut a plea deal. Now, why am I covering this? We got to wait until September. I believe it's September 25th before the sentencing begins. Now, Allison Mack, who's under home arrest with her parents in California, is looking at a possible 40 years. Okay, a possible 40 years. But she's been let out. She's been just around. And apparently, we're going to go over some information that said that she was ready to testify against Keith Raniere, but they didn't call her. Now, one of the things that a lot of people are unaware of is that Mack actually married the woman behind me, Nikki Klein. Okay? So Nikki Klein, apparently, according to some of these documents and people like Frank Parlato, who the Frank Report and Art Voice, we're going to read one of his articles claiming that Klein herself is now running DOS. So let me put this out there for you. Allison Mack, who helped recruit a lot of these women, had them not only on crazy diets, do torturous things, was involved with the underage Mexican national. All this came out in court. She marries Nikki Klein in this sham marriage to, I think, relegate finances and responsibility. So, according to the documents, Allison Mack was the number one woman who was dedicated to Keith Raniere, and she was trying to get more and more Hollywood celebrities in on this. And if you saw my earlier video that I just put out about 20 minutes ago, we know how Hollywood works, don't we? A lot of similarities. So, Mack's wife, Nikki Klein, never was in these indictments. She hadn't been charged. And last month it was being reported that she was in upstate New York in Clifton Park around the NXIVM base. Now, remember, we were talking about how all their property was being seized. Apparently all the NXIVM property was being seized, so you'd think it was all over. Doesn't seem that way. Nikki Klein now leads DOS according to Parlato. And a really interesting thing is, we're going to talk about Nikki Klein. I believe Battlestar Galactica is one of the shows she was in. But I got a couple of private DMs that have never been published from Nikki Klein to one of the listeners, one of the watchers out there. Thank you very much. We're not going to name his name. He didn't want to be brought into it. But we're going to read these things and give you some insight on how Nikki Klein and others presented NXIVM, this success group, to other people. And we all know what it really was. Let's see if we can keep this one monotonous. We all know what it really was if you've seen my past work. It's astounding to me that Bronfman was able to work out that 21 to 72 month deal where if she gets more than 27 months, she can appeal, and $6 million when she was clearly involved in a multitude of visa frauds to bring in women who are unqualified to teach children, put them in positions at the Rainbow Cultural Garden in this country, and remember, also in South America and Europe, these women were going to, and then become, the pleasure toys of Raniere and others, all while working with toddlers, teaching them new languages, supposedly. All nonsense, okay? So DOS is surviving, according to Parlato, and Nikki Klein, this actress, married to Allison Mack, is still running it. Now, apparently Allison Mack doesn't have access to a computer or a phone or yada, yada, yada. I don't know how real that is, especially in 2019. If you don't think she's had communications with her wife, I don't know what to tell you. So we're going to read this, and here it is. This is a private message from Nikki Klein, the new head of DOS. Never been seen before other than what was shared to me by this viewer. Aw, dude, sorry. I'm the worst at returning Facebook messages. So I moved to Albany about 7 years ago. I discovered this incredible program that had a profound impact on my life. Basically, even though I was acting on a great TV show and I had all the things in life that were supposed to make me happy, I still found myself searching. And then I found these tools that help you understand yourself better and get more of what you really want out of life. So I've been here ever since, working on different projects that revolve around personal growth and ethics. I recently launched a company that analyzes news against ethical standards to show people how the media distorts information and inspire more critical thought. And by the way, this was one of the things that Barbara Boucher, who dated Raniere, who was at that Times Union Center symposium I have on my channel, talked about. She said, we really thought we were doing good. And one of the things that kind of disturbed me is they used the quote, she said it, "Be the change you want to see in the world." I talk about that all the time. So they use positive thought, positive actions to try to bait you into the situation. So does Scientology. That's why they had very similar flavors. Okay? So that's my deal in a nutshell. Where is it? Let's see. Yes, that's my deal in a nutshell. As for Facebook friends, I saw that too and kind of assumed a must-have got cut into some purge of sorts. I tried not to take it personally. How are you doing? So apparently they got cut off in some kind of a Facebook relationship. But that's the first thing she talks about 7 years ago. Probably hadn't talked to this person in years. And right away, what's the hard sell? NXIVM. NXIVM is the hard sell. And here it is, DOS. So, DOS is the branding group. And Parlato has done a lot of good work out there. And we talk about branding, but this was surgically done. Surgically done. So I want to point out that it's now being reported that Allison Mack was ready to testify against Keith Raniere, but they didn't call her. And again, a lot of these child trafficking and CP allegations and molestation allegations, some were not even let into court. Some, they said, could be taken under a separate jurisdiction. And we'll see if that ever happens, if we're going to see more trials. I don't know. They found him guilty on everything. I expect Keith to get sentenced pretty hard. And he's probably cut some deal out with the Bronfmans because, again, they had $14.3 million set aside for these legal funds. All right? And they're taking all of Allison Mack's property and they're taking all of the NXIVM property, and none of this property was actually in Raniere's name. So this is a really short page 6 article. We're going to read it. Smallville actress Allison Mack was all set to take the stand against her beloved Grand Master Keith Raniere during the NXIVM leader's sex trafficking trial, but was never called to testify. The Post has learned the 36-year-old pleaded guilty earlier this year to charges of racketeering and racketeering conspiracy, and then began speaking with prosecutors and was prepared to testify against the Svengali-like guru, according to multiple sources. Though Mack didn't enter into a formal cooperation agreement like co-defendant and fellow slave Lauren Salzman, she was considered a cooperator, sources said. So Salzman cut herself a deal. Lauren, not Nancy. I'm pretty sure Nancy did too. But Lauren, I believe, was one of the ones that had kept 2 women locked up for almost 2 years in a room. Again, Mexican nationals, sisters of this 15-year-old. And one said, "You know what? I don't want to do this anymore." And they started threatening her. And she had feelings for somebody outside of Keith. And she ended up getting driven down to the border and had the birth certificate held over her head. That's all in my NXIVM document deep dive on the indictment documents. It's all in there. All right, so Salzman's cut some kind of a deal. I would assume Mack has verbally cut some kind of a deal. And then when you have that Bronfman money, hey, who knows? It wasn't immediately clear why prosecutors opted not to call her as a witness, and lawyers for Mack did not return messages seeking comment. I'd say this. It could have been disastrous for them if indeed she had taken the stand. Why? Because, look, she's an actress, and I get it. She's a pretty face. A lot of people want to believe her. But I guarantee she's a lot more involved than people would like to believe because of her celebrity status, and did a lot more twisted shit according to those documents. And other people may have come out and said, you know what, she's portraying this all wrong. So they probably thought it was better, especially with the deals that were being cut, to leave Allison Mack on the sidelines and not have her testify. Because as sensationalized and tabloided as this story was, If that actress had actually gone up there, it would have gotten so much more attention. I mean, think about this. Garagos is Bronfman's lawyer, right? But then it comes out in court documents that Michael Avenatti, who was the lawyer for Stormy Daniels, you saw all over television, he was talking about obstruction of justice against Trump before it was cool, calling for impeachment. Well before the Mueller report was even in the bag, before the investigation had even ended, he was calling for obstruction of justice. All of a sudden it comes out in court that Claire Bronfman also has Avenatti hired by her, and the reports are that she nearly or did faint in the courtroom and need to be carried away. Again, Bronfman, in these indictments, along with, I believe, Nancy Salzman, were accused of campaign finance fraud by having their members give the max, I think it was like $2,700, to Hillary Clinton in 2007 for her presidential run during the primaries. And they were going to pay that back. What for? What do you think? Political influence. Hillary Clinton, a woman who was mentored by the Bronfman sisters' father, Edgar Bronfman, a man who was given the Medal of Freedom by Bill Clinton, a man who was not only a billionaire, not only the Seagram's heir, not only involved in the entertainment industry, but the head of the Jewish Congress, the World Jewish Congress. That's a real thing. And those are things that are just passed by. Well, if you think they're important, please, guys, go check out my channel. Now's the time to do it. We have, I think, well over a dozen videos on NXIVM at this point. In fact, if you just go to my playlists, I believe the NXIVM playlist is in there. What do we got? Yes, 17, and this will be the 18th video just on this channel. I've done a ton of past work over at WRC. Guys, please subscribe. We've gotten a huge boost of subscribers lately. We're up over 22K. It is the road to 30K. When we hit 25K, we'll do another AMA. I was recently on the Tinfoil Hat podcast. Thank you so much, Sam and XG. It was a great time. I know a lot of you guys found me there. Make sure you're subscribing. You're hitting the thumbs up button. You're getting the notifications. You're following me on Twitter. And I'm supported by only you guys. I'm trying to raise $5,000 a month so I can put out 30 to 50 informative videos every single week on topics like this one that the media does not cover, from a perspective that is not conservative or liberal, left or right, but in my heart of hearts, right and wrong. And I'm doing it with you guys, so I thank you so much. We got more videos to come today, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.